Hi, I'm Marcus with the IndieMusicLab.com. So in today's video, we are going to explore 5 of my personal favorite bass sounds for indie productions. Let's get into it. Bass sound number 1 for producing indie is the saturated to death bass guitar. Here's how you get that saturated to death bass guitar sound. Start out with just a very basic bass guitar riff, very simple, and then run it through some type of amp or even just a straight up DI, whatever gives you a good sound. And then here is the first saturation. I'm using sausage fattener here. Throw some EQ on it, boost the lows, cut off the super highs, and then completely squash it with saturation knob. There you go. Bass sound number 2 for producing indie is the Groovy 80s synth bass. So to get this sound, start out with any type of synth you might have inside of your DAW. Then you can either start with a preset like I'm doing, or you can design this yourself. We are just using a basic saw square type of waveform right here. And then I'm sending this bass through some EQ just to filter off the top end, as you can see, which leaves us with this sound. Bass sound number 3, the bass that disappears. So this bass technique isn't as much about the sound as it is how it's being played. Notice all of these empty gaps and these spaces between the phrases.
All I am is a man. I want the world in my hands. I hate the beach, but I stand in California with my toes in the sand. Use the sleeves on my sweater. Let's have an adventure. Head in the clouds, but my gravity.
Bass sound number 4 is the sub and bass guitar riff layer. So starting with the sub bass, just use the most basic sine wave synth sound that follows the chord progression of the song. Then run it through some EQ just to filter off some of the highs. Then add a bit of that pumping sidechain effect. I use kickstart in this case. After that, throw some saturation on there. And then some real heavy distortion. Now for the bass guitar, you want to play some type of energetic riff. Then run it through some distortion. Then run it through some EQ to filter off a bunch of the low end, because this is the area where the sub bass lives in. So we don't need the bass guitar to live there. And then just combine the two.
Don't know what this feeling is. Oh, no. Is I'm over here bleeding in a cold. Well, I've been dreaming things through that I can't.
And finally, number 5 is the Keep It Simple Stupid bass sound, or K.I.S.S. And when I say simple, I mean simple. So just record a bass guitar or even a synth bass and more or less follow what the kick drum is doing. And then, in this case, I have a bass guitar, run it through a basic guitar amp, followed by just a slight amount of saturation, and finally, a bit of EQ to make it fit in the context of this particular mix.
Day off in Kyoto, got bored at the temple, looked around at 7-Eleven. Band took the speed train, went to the arcade, wanted to go but I didn't.
Now, if you're ready to take this a step further and you want to get a systematic step-by-step plan, then I've got a free gift that is really going to help you out. It's my 5 steps to a Spotify level production. This is a systematic step-by-step framework that is going to take your song from start to finish and not just make it good enough to upload to Spotify, but make it so good that it belongs there. It feels like if it's queued up after a Lana Del Rey song or a Tame Impala song, it feels like a natural fit, like it belongs there. So this guide is 100% free. I'll leave a link in the description. It's really going to help you out, my friend, so be sure to grab yourself a copy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, my friend.